good can he make me look? So I think you really need to keep that in perspective. But one of the things that I don't like, and a lot of times a person who hasn't trained, if I punch and he just barely turns his head, or his head works as a unit, like all this is just locked, then, you know, it doesn't make me look very strong here. I'm like, bastard! Typically, when a guy throws like you throw the punch for me, a guy will, like, because it's easier on his neck, or he'll take it the other way, and he'll go up like this, and everything works as a unit. What you want is when he throws a punch, is my head snaps, and if he goes totally sideways, my head goes totally sideways. Then my body can go. So, you know, now it can go, depending on, now if I'm the hero, I wouldn't take as much of a punch. Seriously, as the actor, you would take those things into account. So when he would punch, it would be a faster reaction. What's interesting about a punch, if you have a good punch, say I'm a boxer. I look like a boxer. If I do the exact same thing, and I come back with, like, oh, he does kung fu. I can do the exact same thing, and now you're doing like, you know, Tai Chi or something. You're like, oh, I get what he does. I understand it. You change, and I go, bang, bang. You go, oh, Thai boxer, I got it. I'm doing the exact same thing every time. The mechanics of the punch are the same. One thing I need for him is if I punch sideways is for across, his head snaps sideways. Should I go slightly down, his head goes down first. If I go upwards, he goes upwards. Very, very important. One of the harder shots is simply taking a midsection punch. Most people just want to kind of go. And real funny, my friend Robert Prolgo was trying to do an audition with his dad, who in real life is a 7th degree black belt. Nice Jewish guy from New York who used to be there. Now he's just an awesome guy. He came in, this is just Rob Prolgo, I just think it's funny story. So he comes in to audition for a movie I did called Stick Fighter. Takes a midsection punch. So later, Rob, who a lot of people know in town, how my dad did. I go, oh man, Rob. I go through the whole explanation, and Rob never misses a beat. He goes, ever seen an old Jewish guy take a punch? So, camera-wise, obviously this is a miss. But if you added sound effect, even from that angle, and you put it in, it'll look like a hit. More likely, I would go, let's adjust a little bit. From here, one of the things is I don't punch at his jaw, even if that's my punch. I punch across his eyes. Will sell better. One of the things that he should look for is he doesn't move when my hand goes past this eye. He should learn to do this. So that he doesn't move until it passes this eye. This gives the impression of the inertia and the compression. And it's a subtle thing, but it makes a big difference. Generally, you actually don't have to punch that fast. Not that that's my fastest punch, but because if you're doing stuff like this and you're going, and he can't react.
I just felt a breeze.
Then you're like, why? You know, why do that? So if I can throw like 6 or 7 punches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll just go very gently. If he can't sell 6 punches in 1 second, then the audience goes,
what happened?
This is what happened in Jeff Speakman's movie.
One of
by the way, it was like, and everybody's like, because you couldn't react.
On that note, one of my favorite fight scenes of all time. Has anybody in here seen SPL, Killzone, Donnie Yen movie? One of my favorite fight scenes of all time is in that movie, and it's One Punch. It's where Donnie Yen knocks the guy retarded. Because it's one hit, he hits this guy, he's a cop, and it's whatever. Who cares about plot? He hits this guy, like, over onto a parked car, and it just is filmed so great, and the guy's reaction, he's foaming at the mouth when he hits the car. It's a single punch, but it's shot brilliantly, and it just looks nasty. And you can do, on that note, you can do a lot more with one punch than you can do with 50. Because if you're going crazy on a dude, like, whatever,
Yeah,
he's
I
too
have to
fast,
go
you can't
take those
see it.
reactions.
Yeah, but one hit, boom, and the guy's down. Like, that's, everybody saw that, you know?
Right. If I go to sell a midsection punch, so from this, my motion is blocked, right? So you're like, okay, what's he doing back there? Bang, bang. But if he still takes reaction, what happens is, for film, it works pretty well. You use what's called body mechanics the way you should be doing in real life. So even though I'm blocked, like I'm going to do a midsection punch. So if I have no body mechanics, it looks like this. And the audience goes, what the? And he reacts. The audience goes, what happened? But if I sell it correctly, and I do the punch correctly, even though it's trapped, the audience gets it. All right? They understand what happened based on on my mechanics. They understand there has to be a result. The result is, you took a punch. So that becomes very important. What else?
There's that simple X trick that a lot of, you know what I mean? The dreaded X.
What is it?
If you are new to filming fights and you don't really know where to go, you can get a lot of good ideas of what to do by just, your actors are like in a center circle, make an X and film from the points of the X, because you're always over somebody's shoulder. So it's going to hide a lot of
And also don't be afraid to move. So if I had this and she's kind of there and I want to get a lot out of this, I will throw the punch, which means he's going to move to the side. I'm going to get another punch, which means now that punch works. All right, for camera. I now have this punch. He's now throwing back at me. I'm taking a punch. I've had one camera motion and we picked up 4 hits that actually all sell. All right?
You gotta walk it, you gotta know where everything is, because with all that movement.
Yeah, so what will help is a lot of times the camera person, even if there's nobody else that experienced, it's just like sound, having a monitor, somebody to be kind of back here, they don't even have to be watching through the monitor. But yeah, that didn't, I think that was a miss. Me, typically, I have to work at speeds where I don't get to do playback. I don't get to go, let's watch that fight again. And then what happens when you're doing that is, if the fight takes 30 seconds of motion, bang, 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 and you're like, okay, now let's watch it back to see if it worked. That takes you 30 seconds for everybody to crowd around, 30 seconds to watch it, 30 seconds to get back. Your 30-second take now for 2 minutes. And if you're trying to get the dozens and even hundreds of angles that I try to pull off, that's just too big a waste of time.
But, you know, sometimes if it's a very important fight, it's a very pivotal point in the fight, sometimes you may want to do it because you don't fix it in post, you can.
And this gets to another point. The reason why you have fights in films, or at least the reason why I do, not only because I can do them, I can afford them. I can do a fight, I think, and other people have thought and have said, I mean, I can do a fight on a world-class level. I cannot do an explosion on a world-class level. That would be Tony Scott Deja Vu. That's a world-class explosion. A car wreck, The Rock, those kind of movies. That's a world-class, car chase. I can't do that. I can do a fight, almost regardless of my movie. Again, you're like, oh, listen, okay, I'm going to do a romantic comedy. Is there a way to find a fight? There's some good production value there, we get some...
There's always a way to find a fight.
Yes.
Yeah. In real life, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are very simple examples, but again, if you can make the one angle work for you to give you multiple hits so that you can get a lot out of this, and whatever technique he's doing. And if you have an experienced stunt guy, they're taking advantage. They understand the camera placement as well. There'll be times, obviously, she's locked on a tripod. She doesn't get the flexibility of adjusting minutia to make it work. There are other times people do handheld to make up for things. Yeah, go ahead. No? I thought you were. Go.
Oh, well, I was wondering,
you know, there's fights, there's, I think, good fight scenes, but sometimes they take it too far. Like, if you remember the fight scene from the movie They Live, where the guys are like...
That served a point, though, in the story. It was a ridiculous movie, and it
was also
awesome.
Ron Piper, who's an amazing, you know, I actually got to work with a lot of the WCW guys. You know, Sting and Lex and Glacier and choreograph some of their stuff. And, you know, much different doing it live where you get to put in a sound effect, you know, and put that in, you know. But again, like weaponry is the same thing. One of the things you want to learn as a martial artist, as an actor, as a stuntman, probably even just as an actor, is how long are your arms? Because people don't actually know. And you'll get a director who goes, no, I want to see that punch from here, and I want to see you hit it, and you're like, ah. And it's come down to me going, I'm going to have to just tweak you a tiny bit. It won't hurt you, I promise.
Take it like a man!
Try to touch me. And then hopefully you don't screw up. But,
accidents do happen, but
all the time.
with control and stuff, you're not hitting him as hard as you can. Like, well, it's okay. Alright, that's a bad example, because doing a rehearsal for something in one film I was in, I got like kneed a bunch in the stomach, and the guy came overhead and hit me. And in one rehearsal, I'm standing there, I'm taking the punches, and then I'm on the floor. No idea what happened. He decked me, and I just wake up on the ground. So it does happen, but I got up and walked away from it just because he is super trained. He was able to pull it back the last second.
Also, the locking tends to work. He punches tends to work well on camera, so people, you know, get it. They tend to understand this kind of pain. A lot of people have never actually been hit. They've all been kind of twisted around by a brother or something. You know, that's something to us, so we can kind of relate to those kind of pains, so that these kind of techniques, you know, if he can help sell these work really well, tend to work on camera well. And they also are great for angles, because now I can control the angle that she sees and make it work, you know, regardless. Yeah. Those weren't real. I think I got chicken bones, if I remember right, because I did all the Foley, so I think I got raw chicken breast and bones just constantly grind up. I was like, go see this.
It's just like real life.
That sounds like if you've ever had a chiropractic adjustment and they crack your neck, you just thought they killed you. Like it takes you a second to go, am I better or worse? Yeah.